thumbnail.
Oh,
Oh no!
we're back.
Why? Why? Let's
Oh,
see if there's any peeps out there. That's okay. Whatever.
give him a
This
couple minutes.
this Monday evening is brought to you by Texas' finest Shiner Bach. We have a tripod now that Gordon Miller. Wow, I sounded like Bruce when I said Gordy. That Gordon gifted to us. Hey, what's up, Hobie? Hobie, it was fabulous meeting you this past weekend at the extravaganza.
What the hell is that?
That I don't. I think that is a. Sorry, there's something really. Hey, what's up, Frank? There's
Look at
a.
that thing.
Is that a cricket dragging something that, or something dragging a
I think
dead
it's a
cricket?
hornet dragging
I
a
think
dead
that.
cricket.
I love Texas. Yeah, it is. That's a. Yeah.
A hornet dragging a dead
That's
cricket.
a that's a
Nice.
hornet dragging a dead cricket.
Nice.
Yay, Texas. So yeah, Hobie. Anyway, before it got all National Geographic over here. It was a pleasure meeting you, sir. I had a blast this past weekend, and anybody who commented while we were looking at the Hornet, relevant response to you. Uh, J.S. Warren, what up, brother, sister?
About
I'm
the
guessing
what?
brother. He had Hobie had developed this fabulous technique. He was wearing overalls. I wasn't, but he was,
Yeah.
and he developed this
Not
fabulous.
due to me.
Yeah, well, I know,
I'm
but
ready.
but what he did was he had this thing.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, it was perfect.
Perfect.
Yeah, I noticed, Frank. I noticed. So, all right, we got some people here. We're glad to see y'all. We're gonna do testimonies part 2 tonight. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna get weird.
It's gonna be amazing.
It's gonna be a good time. So, and especially now that I have both hands free. See this?
Yeah.
So, yeah, Gordy hooked us up, man. And and Bruce was like,
I was
"Hey,
just
Tina, what's up?"
I was just gonna duct tape it to his chest next time.
So,
Well, you want me to
yeah,
finish?
do your thing.
I think finish. So, yes, we have baby. Um, so throughout this pregnancy, like my wife was considered high risk, and she had to go to a high risk doctor and a regular doctor. Um, and then at one point, a while ago, we started getting some like bad news. Baby's legs and arms aren't measuring.
Right.
Like, we're concerned about it. He's behind there. And so that led to a decision to take the baby at 37 weeks, which was last week.
Yeah.
Okay. It's important for the rest of this, how things came out. And so Tuesday, I'm coming home from lunch. I turn into my street, hear a screech, and blam, belt on my truck blows. Right. And so I'm like, power steering's out. I'm able to at least get it to the house though, and I call tow truck. They're coming to pick it up, to take it in, and it's just like, yeah, go figure. We're going to we're going in Wednesday, the next day. This was Tuesday, to start having this baby, and I get it taken care of and being hauled back and get back to work. And I get this call. My wife said, "I'm heading home. They're admitting us tonight. They didn't like one of the tests, and so we're going to start." And so that was Tuesday night, 5 o'clock we got there. And one thing to note, and hopefully she doesn't watch these, which I didn't think she'd watch them anyway, because we're idiots to her anyway.
She gets enough of us as it is.
So about a month ago, I started getting this like gut feeling that something was going to happen to her with this baby. That something was going to happen to her that would take her life.
Yep.
And it was just really strong, and I just, I never said anything, to anybody about it. But we get to the hospital, and, they start inducing her. She's starving because she didn't eat since 11:30. And the next morning, they're like, "Okay, this isn't working. We want you to go ahead Wednesday morning, get breakfast." So I went and got a Cracker Barrel. I ordered chicken fried steak, and I picked it up, and I go to take the first bite, and it's chicken fried chicken. And I'm like, what part of this? What part of this do you feel like wants fried chicken? Right? And so the nurses got a kick out of that too. But so anyway, um, they start on a different course. She's not really progressing at all. Um, and, I haven't slept yet. I finally laid my head down Wednesday night for an hour or so. And I was woken up to, we've got to go now. Um, and and I looked at the screen, and in about half a second, I'm in my shoes. I'm opening the curtain. I'm opening the doors because they're wheeling her to an emergency C-section.
Yeah.
And I am just sitting there, not fearful, in my head, thanking Jesus for this healthy baby that we're about to have.
Yeah.
And we get down the hall. This is like 1:54 a.m. when this occurred. So come to find out after the fact, when they they decided at that time that they were going to puncture her water because the baby was sitting up high. And after they punctured it, that's when his vitals just dropped bad. And this doctor, who's very lighthearted, like, she was white in the face, and you knew it was business. And so, we got down the hallway. I had to wait outside as they prepped her before they grabbed me, and I just hit my knee, and I just kept repeating, "Thank you, Jesus, for this healthy baby. Thank you, Jesus, for this healthy baby."
Yep.
And they grabbed me and bring me in there, and it was 1:57, 2:01. Baby Elijah was born. So 6 boys. We're definitely team boy. And here's the miraculous part of it. They pulled him out, and he was pink. He was screaming. Everything was good. And come to find out, his arms and legs weren't undersized whatsoever, even though on Tuesday they measured him 6 weeks behind.
Yep.
And then after they took him out, I heard her say, "Oh, that's why his cords knotted." And so when he slid down, that knot tightened, and he went into a panic.
And he slid down because of the water breaking.
Because of the water breaking, right. But he had tied his cord into a knot. Victor, our first lost, had kinked his cord. Noah, our second loss, had got it wrapped around his neck, and it choked him as he grew. And so they even said to us, like, I've never heard of anybody having 3 cord issues like this. And so I'll reflect back before I move on to my wife. And so, if they hadn't been undersizing his legs and arms,
Yeah.
we would have been going to term. And any one of these days, he could have moved the wrong way and cinched that knot, and we would have never had time to get anywhere for him to be born.
Yeah.
So, there in and of itself, it wasn't even close. Everything's developed the same.
Yeah.
And they're saying Tuesday he's 6 weeks behind.
Yeah.
So, we get him. He comes out. He's doing great. He gets a 9.9 out of 10 on whatever baby thing that they grade them on. Amazing. He looks unbelievable, and there's
alert.
this calmness about him. When I've sat with him and fed him, I don't know. There's something. He's different.
Yeah.
I can tell. There's something different. And so that morning about 7, my wife is really groggy, lightheaded, nauseated, and it's not getting any better. And yeah, she went through a lot in the emergency C-section, but throughout the day, I would talk to her and ask her something, and she would just sit there for 15 seconds.
Right.
And then kind of turn and give an answer, which may or may not been coherent. So this continued on, and I was supposed to go get the boys that night. Oh, not Thursday night, sorry. But this continued on until, Thursday evening. And I sent a note to TJ because I asked all our friends, I'm like, if you would just please pray, thank you for expedited, thank you, Jesus, for expedited healing for Laura. Because it was like I knew something was wrong, and then this rush of stuff that had hit me a month before about something happening to her.
Yeah.
And so that was just, constantly what I was saying and what I asked everybody else to. And through like 7, 8 o'clock, she's still that way. I couldn't eat. I ran home to grab some stuff, and she said, "Hey, would you grab me some food from that hibachi truck I love? Like
Yeah.
maybe I can eat that." And so I grabbed it. She barely touched it. Woke up the next morning, and she's like 180 degrees out.
Yeah.
Like she wasn't my wife the day before, but
Yeah.
it's like she was back. And she actually got up, rolled her to see Elijah, who she hadn't
Yep.
seen all day long. Um, and before that, I had heated up. She's like, "I want that hibachi," so I heated this thing up. She destroyed it. And then we went and saw Elijah, and came back, and she ordered breakfast from the cafeteria and destroyed it. Like, and it was just, I mean, it's amazing. In less than 12 hours,
Yeah.
all I was asking anybody to do and myself to do is just already thank for the healing that I know he's gonna do.
Me and Harmony, I looked at her when I got your text, and I know you pretty dang well. I got that text, and I looked at her, and I guess my look just said everything to her, and we just hit the floor in the living room, and just started praying, and that peace that surpasses all understanding. I prayed till I had that, and then we just both looked at each other and were like, "It's gonna be okay." And like we knew, right? And then the next morning, you left me that voicemail,
Yeah.
and because in Oklahoma I don't get any service, and I was like, "How freaking awesome is it that our God is that powerful?" You know what I mean?
There's no coincidence. I
Yeah.
mean, if you guys saw her, there's no way in less than 12 hours that she should have been
Yeah.
like herself. And it just, but we're still waiting for him to come home. He's a little bit premature, so he needed some help. Everything's healthy,
Yeah.
perfectly healthy. He just needed some help on stuff that they expect with a baby who would be premature. But he is absolutely gorgeous and just so attentive and calming, and it just truly divine.
Yeah.
Like there's a divinity in him.
Well, Elijah was a prophet of Yahweh. He's a prophet of God, right? Come
Well,
up against 450 prophets of Baal, and is like, let's see who's got more gas in the tank, you know?
what led me to his name is exactly the story of Elijah. But what led me to his name was when he had taken too much.
Yeah.
When Jezebel said by the next night he's going to suffer the same fate as her,
Right.
which is death. And he went to the cave. He's like, "I can't take anymore. Lord, I'm done. I can't take anymore." And the Lord, the angel brought down a cake of bread on the coals with a jar of water and said,
Yep.
"Take, eat, get your strength." And the next day, same thing. Elijah's like, "I can't take anymore. They want to kill me. Like
Right.
I just can't go any further." And same thing. The cake of bread, the jar of water. And the Lord's, "I've got more for you to do,
Yeah.
Elijah. I have more for you to do." That's really where I gravitated towards that name. Because my wife would bring up names all the time, and I'd be like, "Nope, nope,
Yeah.
nope, nope. It's just not right. I don't feel it." And so she was getting frustrated, and then we came up with this. But here's a cool thing. So his name Elijah is Elijah. His middle name Leeman, Leeman. Victor Eli,
Right.
Noah Lee,
Right.
Elijah Leeman.
It's awesome.
So we wanted to make sure that we put a piece of them in him,
Yep.
and so it just an awesome miracle. But I mean it is a miracle, and I look forward to getting them home on Wednesday. I just his brothers, like, talk about the joy that it gives I mean, his brothers are ear to ear. I got a chance to feed him when I went up to the hospital with the boys, and afterwards he was still awake. So they'd been dying to see him
Yeah.
when he's awake. They've seen him when he's sleeping in the NICU, and so he was awake, and I brought them in there, and you would swear it was Christmas, birthday, whatever. They were just so proud to be able to meet their brother.
Yep.
Like, but anywho, that's continuation of
Yeah.
story last week.
That's awesome.
Oh, I think Laura's watching us actually,
Is she? Hi, Miss Squid.
or she just saw the notification.
Oh. Well. So those kids over there on the dirt bikes are cute. Do you want me to tackle them or what?
They're that's my buddy and
Uh-huh.
his middle kid, who are learning to do this because they want to go. Like, this is an activity that he's struggled with finding. He's struggled with finding an activity for him and his middle son to connect. And so, I mean, he's the one who I talked about that story of him flipping out over going golfing when the other kids went.
Right.
You know, and that's where he had the revelation of, like, you know, if you would just be patient, if you would just trust me, it'll be okay. And then he saw the father slapping him in the face, saying,
The
I'm
same
saying the
thing.
same thing to you. Like, trust me, it's
Yep.
gonna be okay. But go.
Me? My turn?
Yeah. Anyway, that's the continuation. All good, and we can't wait to get this baby home.
Yeah.
Where it belongs, and continue life. And I would segue into one thing, right?
Shoot.
So, like, even though we're all preppers and we feel like there's something coming, it doesn't mean stop your life,
Agreed.
right? Keep living your life. You know, just be prepared for what might happen.
Yeah.
But don't stop going to the movies. Don't stop
Yeah.
buying whatever.
Feed your 401k.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
It's a two-pronged approach between everything's normal and everything's gonna fall apart tomorrow.
Yep.
Like, you gotta feed both, you know. And man, I see y'all commenting over there, and I appreciate you guys. Hobie, I'm glad you guys can't hear the dirt bikes too bad. Frank, it's an F-150, but I didn't. He was like, "What kind of truck was it?" When you said your belt came flying off. Hi, Bruce. Hi, Carolyn. It was good to meet you. But I think it was more important to let Squid talk than it was to answer questions. So, yeah, and I see you there, Mr. Puzzleman, as well. You said hi from Oregon, I believe, and I appreciate you being here. So, yeah, I think you're right. It is a two-pronged approach. You know, I'll tell you what was amazing about that day, Carolyn. You guys, as a group, the APN is just an awesome group of people. I was blown away by just how good you guys are. And I mean, you can't be great unless you're good. And by good, I mean good-hearted, good-natured, good-spirited, kind people, humble people, willing to learn. Man, I've met a lot of people. I've taught a lot of people, trained a lot of people. And I was just honored and humbled to be amongst people that were as good as the APN is. So, and I don't say that as lip service. Everybody I met impressed me. And the cool thing about that was everybody I met impressed me in a slightly different way. And if you guys just keep doing what you're doing and keep growing that community of people who are like-minded and of one accord, as we talk about often here, you have no idea how powerful that will be for you as you go forward. So, what's up, BC?
And I was gonna say too, that I don't think they understand like how much we sacrifice for them. Remember that second Gray Man video?
Yeah.
I mean, I still got I still got the damage.
This thing on
But
my-
we literally got each bit by a couple hundred chiggers.
Yeah,
And if you don't know what a chigger is, because I know in the north they're rare,
yeah.
but they're everywhere.
Take a 3/8 drill bit, hook it
yeah.
up to your drill, and just smash it into your leg a couple hundred times.
And then make it as itchy as possible.
Yeah, and then rub fiberglass in it,
Yep.
and that's what a chigger bite is.
I literally the next day got home, I stood up in the bath, and I scrubbed Epsom salts into my leg, and it was just searing pain, just to like neutralize the itch. But they stink. That's
Yeah, it's bad news. Hey, it's Gordy. What up, brother?
Gordy, thank you for the package, man.
For everything.
That was unbelievable.
Thank you.
Like,
And Bruce, I saw you chime in earlier. I appreciate you, brother. I really do. The hospitality is incredible. Man, we're just gonna change the channel name to APN.
yeah, right. Squid and Bear, brought to you by APN.
Part of the APN network. I think we need like an APN, Roku channel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we'll just be featured on the APN
You
channel.
have to be careful because Arkansas is considered a assault state.
It is. It's an assault state.
Kansas.
I really truly believe that a bunch of people just got exiled from Kansas, and they're like, "This is our Kansas now." Well, what should we call it? Our Kansas. I love you guys. You know that. So it's good to laugh with you, brother.
Yeah, me
It's been
too,
a
man.
week, man.
It feels, I gotta tell you, it feels like longer.
It feels like a month or two.
I mean, I went through some of the biggest, like,
Yeah.
lows, highs, you name it, in the last week, and I literally feel like it's been a month since we talked last Monday.
I know.
It's weird.
Well, and not having you at the shop too. It's like,
Yeah.
where's my squid? You- Hey, Shiny. I love you, kiddo. Cheyenne's on here.
Oh, hey, kid.
Yep. I hope you're having fun, and I hope to see you soon. So, I guess it's my turn, huh? I love you too, kid. You're beautiful. You're wonderful. You're an excellent child.
You're a great kid.
You're a great kid. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. And can't wait to see you again. So, we miss you terribly. So,
See, you still got him too. I see you scratch.
yeah, I still got him. I've been attacked, man. This is warfare.
I'm terrible because I scratch at night.
Uh-huh.
I don't know it.
And then, yeah, they're just tore open when you
Yeah.
wake up again. Yeah, I'll scratch unconsciously. You're welcome, baby. You're welcome. I scratch unconsciously, and then I'll look down. There's like a 1/4-inch wide stream of blood
Yes,
just running
yes.
down my leg.
Yep.
What is that? Oh, dang chigger bite. All right, my turn, huh? Okay, so quit bugging lotion bars. Yes, you know I meant to get over to your booth and just Shiny, the prepper meeting was awesome, baby. That's what I was talking about. Miss Carolyn, I was trying to get back to her booth, and there was so much awesome that I didn't even get a chance to shoot a video. I shot a video yesterday afternoon. I was still in Arkansas yesterday afternoon,
Oh wow.
and I shot a video with Bruce before I left, and we shot a 30-second intro on the way over Saturday morning, and then I shot a video with Matt on his inch bag, and that's it. And there were, no lie, at least a dozen other videos I could have shot,
Oh, I bet.
and I would have loved to have shot, but it was almost like I'm just gonna keep the awesome for myself. You know what I mean? Like, there was such, I can't say it enough. It was such a great event, and everybody there was so genuine, and I talked all day, and you would think that like that would be exhausting, but it wasn't, because people were so awesome.
Well,
you know.
there's a difference, right? So great segue, by the way. You didn't even know this.
That's how we roll.
I was working in the garden today, and it reminded me of a story or an analogy that I used for some people who, at my old work a while ago, we had somebody who worked on the project who was literally emotionally draining
Right.
to all them.
Psychic vampire stuff.
Psychic vampire,
Yep.
right? And I was working in my tomatoes, and I was taking some suckers out here or there, and I got reminded of the story because I cut a couple suckers out, and it's got flowers on it, right?
Yep.
Like, why would you cut something out that's going to have fruit? And it's like you cut it out because it's going to take away from the plant. And you know what? Sometimes they've got flowers and fruit on them, but at the end of the day, they're still suckers, and they still will drain you.
Yep.
Right? And I mean, I think that's a great lesson for life because it's like, we have suckers in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And, even when things are good, they're still suckers.
Yep.
Right? Like,
You and your gardening analogies, because then it makes me think of you shall know them by their fruit.
yeah.
Well, when you're new at plowing land and planting seeds, you're just excited to have fruit, right? And the more land you plow and the more weeding you do, the more refining
Yep.
you do, you get excited about the good fruit. And I want to save this fruit and keep this fruit and pass this fruit on to continue this lineage, right? So there is a differentiation. The more experience you have, the more discernment you can bring to the
Right.
situation and know when you're looking at fruit that's really productive and fruit that isn't productive.
Yep.
Man, we're good. Right here. Look at that.
No joke. I was pruning because obviously I've been gone, so I had to do some catch up today. But literally, that's exactly what I was doing, and I'm like, man, I need to rehash this message again because it just,
Yep.
We have those suckers in our life, and we let them in our life when it's like, even when they're being good to you,
They're still
They're
draining
still
you.
draining.
Yeah. Yep. And you just got to know when to nip it in the bud, as they say. Matthew Poole, hello, brother. God bless you as well. I'm glad y'all are here. I really enjoy this.
I like doing the live.
I like doing it live too. And one of the things that was really reinforced this past weekend at APN was that there's real people on the other side of that thing.
Yeah.
Like,
Wish I could have been there. I would have loved to.
well, you had a couple other things going on.
Yeah.
But, Doug Ruzicka, Doug, man, it was great meeting you. Doug drove from like BFE just to come and talk and hang out for a few and be like, is it okay if I email you sometime? Absolutely. It's okay if you email me. You could have emailed me and said, is it okay if I email you? But I understand that Doug wanted to show his face and talk in person. And do you know how honoring that is to a guy like me who's like, Shiny, Nelly is great, baby. She can't wait to see you, our puppy. She's great. But it's an honor. It's an honor for people to say, hey, you're that guy from that thing on the internet. You said that thing that really helped me and changed my life. And I'm like, I did? And so it's made me more mindful this past week, and it's put a lot of perspective on this, that there are real people on the other end of this.
But there was a comment like last week about, I know where you, which I don't remember who made it, and I replied to it today actually. But like, we lost our first, and then have blah 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 blah, and I made a comment about, when I go, it makes people uncomfortable. People ask how many boys I have, and I say 6.
Yeah.
And then when we get into the conversation, it's like, I have 2 in heaven, and then 4 who are here. By the way, that's a fire team. And it makes people uncomfortable. But you know what? Never lose or forget that. And I think that's where I think God is calling me to do is I think there's a lot of people with loss, and you can forget about it or you can embrace it. I embrace it because
love you too, baby.
both of them have gotten me to where I am.
Yeah.
It's just
You would, yeah. It's gut wrenching, but it's brought you here.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
and the confirmations,
Yeah.
confirmations of God, like
Yeah.
that. I never had any confirmations before in my life,
Yeah.
up until these last 3 years. Like you're delaying.
Well, I was letting you talk because I needed you to talk about confirmation so that we could segue.
Okay.
Because what I'm going to do is tell a story, starting from the middle of the story, and then go back to the beginning, and then give you the ending. So, 4 years ago, a little over 4 years ago, almost 5 years ago, um, Harmony and I were general contractors, and I knew the moment I saw Harmony, that was my wife. I knew it. I remember the moment I walked into her mom's backyard. I can tell you the position of the sun, who was standing where, the angle, like the direction of the wind, who was wearing what. Like, time stopped, right? And it's frozen in my mind. I knew I was supposed to be there. And then we got to talking. And she told me she wanted to start a construction company. And I was like, girl, could you get any hotter? I was like, construction is what I do. And so um, I had manpower, equipment, and material from Morris Power. And I was like, I'll make you a deal. When I'm not on the road putting up wind turbines, um, I'll stay local and we'll build your business. And so we did. And so we built this general contracting company because Harmony is beast mode with design.
Sure.
And she's really good with clients. And
Ridiculous.
yeah. And yeah, I mean, I've showed you all some of her art. She's got an eye for it. I do not. I can execute. My gift
Well,
is
you're also
executing.
colorblind.
I'm also stupid colorblind. When I took my SVAB, they were like, "What color is this crayon?" I was like, grape. And they're like,
That's not a color, sir.
but anyway,
I gotta go pee real
yeah,
quick.
go pee
I'll be
real
right
quick.
back.
That's cool. I'll be right
Yeah,
here.
you're good here, right?
I'm good. I'm good. So Harmony and I grew this business together, and we grew it on her ability to. I see you, APN. I see you over there. We grew this business on her ability to visualize and my ability to execute, and things were going great. We had employees. We were doing 3 or 4 jobs at a time. We were finally starting to make some money. I mean, you guys want to talk about what's up, Keith? You guys want to talk about some faith? There were times where we'd pay our employees, and we'd have. I remember explicitly one time it was Friday, and we got all the bills paid, made payroll, the whole nine, and we had 16 cents left in our bank account. And I remember opening the pantry doors and I'm like, so I know what we're getting for dinner for the next few days, right? And the kids are like, let's go out and see a movie. Probably not this weekend. Let's order a pizza. No, I don't think so. All right. And I just prayed fervently. I said, Father, you gotta do something, and I know you can do something, so I'm putting this on you. I need you to do something so that I, as a man, can provide for the people that I love. And man, since Friday evening, I just repeated that prayer over and over and over in my head, almost as an affirmation. And Monday morning, the phone started ringing. And Monday, we got 27 jobs to bid. And Tuesday, we got another 16 jobs to bid. And Wednesday, I turned the phone off because we had way too much work, right? So, so we were rolling in it, right? We were going 3 or 4 jobs in a row, and I'm gonna try and keep this succinct. Harmony got sick, and I won't give all of the real intense details of this because it's her story, not mine, but it's pertinent to my story. Harmony got sick, and she's a tough woman, She's a good woman, and I promise you, on a job site, she'll outwork any three men. And so to see my baby laying in bed, and she couldn't get up out of bed for a week, I knew something was up. So after a week, I said, honey, either you're going to go to the hospital or I'm going to take you to the hospital. You're going to go to the doctor or I'm going to take you to the hospital. You pick. She said, all right, I'll go to the doctor. I said, all right, I got to work. If you need a ride, let me know. She said, no, I'll drive. Long story short, she passed out driving, ran into a ditch. I got a phone call from my pastor. He says, hey, we found a Harmony in a ditch where they're loading her in an ambulance. Come to find out, she has a genetic heart defect. She has what's called POTS, P-O-T-S, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, which is a bunch of $50 words for her heart doesn't do what it's supposed to do when she moves around a lot. So she tends to have low blood pressure, high pulse rate, and that makes her get what we call wonky. So all this is going on. I don't. Technical term is wonky. Wonky. It rhymes with donkey from Shrek. Donkey. So all this is going on. I didn't know even what we were looking at yet. I didn't know what we were facing, and so we have. I'm in this house. It's Friday evening. I'm doing this job by myself, or it's. I'm the only one there at the time, and I'm in this master bathroom. Like 14-foot ceilings. I'm up on a 12-foot step ladder. I'd hung the crown molding in there, and I was painting the crown molding, which is always a bad idea to let the colorblind guy paint the crown molding. But I'm up there on this ladder just with a 2-inch angle brush cutting in the crown mold. And I am just coming at the Father. I'm like, what is up with this fairy tale BS? What is all this nonsense that I've been telling myself for these last several years? And you're just, you've taken the woman that I love and crumpled her up like a ball of tinfoil, and she's, she can't even get out of bed. And this is nothing but a bunch of, feel good nonsense. And,
strong woman.
And I'm like, and I'm just going at it. In the vein of, God, why do good thing or bad things happen to good people?
Yeah.
Right?
I bet you we all ask ourselves that all the time, right?
So what are you doing with the tripod, man? No. Get over here.
I'm there.
All right. So, and I'm up on this ladder just running my mouth to God. And I mean like vehemently, out loud, gesturing, right? And I'm not kidding. My ladder got kicked across the room. This is a 12-foot fiberglass ladder. Probably weighs 80 pounds. My gallon of paint almost fell off of it. My paintbrush about went out of my hand. I caught it, and I come down off the ladder, and I'm infuriated. I'm pissed because somebody kicked my ladder. And I stalked through that entire 5,000 square foot house looking. And I mean, I talk about room clearing. I went room to room, right? I get outside, look in the driveway. My truck's the only truck there. I came back in, and I walked over to that ladder. There's a dove. You want me to shoot it?
You only need like 16 of them to have a
meal. Like 1,600 and we'll have a meal. So I looked at that ladder, and I looked up that ladder, through the ceiling, directly at the Father. I said, all right, I will never doubt you again. Because I believe the Father speaks to us in languages we can understand. And sometimes my skull is so thick that somebody's got to kick my 12-foot ladder halfway across the room for me to get the message. So that's the way that he's chosen to talk to me most of my life. And so I mentioned to y'all before in other videos that I was an apostate. An apostate is not just somebody that doesn't believe in God, but an apostate is somebody who is actively at war with God. And that was me. And that started, the seeds of that were sown when I was a kid. And there's lots of reasons, but I can, again, along the vein of why do good things happen to bad people? Why do bad things happen to good people? It's kind of the quintessential human question, right?
or to just to go off that, because I've had these thoughts too. Like, why is it that I'm trying to do all the right things and I'm watching all these other people who are not doing the right things being
Yeah,
successful, having this, having that, right?
because that ain't our job. Our job is to be in the world,
Exactly.
not of the world.
Yep.
That's we are not supposed to worship at the altar of Baal and be addicted to materialism and just be in love with this world. This is a pass-through proving ground for us, not a playground. And it doesn't mean we can't have joy, and it
Right.
doesn't mean we can't love each other and encourage each other and find joy on this temporal plane.
Or be a billionaire, or
Right. But that's not our primary purpose. Our primary purpose is to do the Father's will and bring him praise and joy and love and appreciation as our primary focus, and to get a little bit better at doing that every day, as I understand it. So I was wrestling with all this as a kid and then into a teenager, and what cemented it for me was my best friend growing up. He got his parents got a divorce, and um, his parents were instrumental in the church that we attended, and they got a divorce because his dad was sleeping with a lady from the church that wasn't his mom. And I didn't understand at the time that people make mistakes, not God. And that was kind of quintessential in my understanding and my growth, is to realize that people make mistakes, not the Father. But he had a younger sister, and they both were arguing over who was going to get his younger sister, and neither one of them wanted him. He was like 10. He was not an old, wasn't like he was a teenager or something. So my mom was like, all right, you're going to come home and live with us. And he's still today one of my best friends, but it just really, at the time, I was like, how can you call yourself a follower of the Christ, a follower of Jesus, Yeshua, and not want the offspring of your own womb? You know what I mean? Not just to be ambivalent towards it, but to actively push it off on somebody else in favor for his little sister. Just disgusted me.
and I get like how you could get like that, and I think like I have a losing two children. I like
Right.
it. I know if like I don't understand anybody giving up a child or not
Yeah.
wanting a child or whatever it may be, but I forgot where I was going.
You understand how people can get like that, is what you were saying.
Yeah, I mean, it's given me a different appreciation, but and then this is where I was going to say, but it still doesn't mean that you don't discipline your children,
Yeah.
right? Because your children need to know that you're not their friend,
Yeah.
you are their parent, and your job is to raise them in the gospel, in the word,
Raise them
and
up in fear of the
discipline
Lord.
them appropriately when you need to,
Yeah.
and to not just for them to like you.
So that disgusted me.
Yeah.
That really disgusted me, and I've always asked questions. I've always been a context guy. Told people this. My number one personality trait is action. My number two is context. I need to understand the why, and once I understand the why, I'll figure out the how, the when, the who, and the what. But I got to know the why. So that started me down the road of apostasy. And right about 15 years old, I learned how to play drums. I heard in the same afternoon I heard Metallica's Master of Puppets and Cowboys from Hell by Pantera in the same afternoon. I didn't even know you could have two bass drums. I was like, how are they playing drums like that? I didn't even know that was possible. And then, long story short, the guy who played drums in the youth group band at church joined the Navy, and he was selling his drum kit for $300. And I was like, I didn't find $300. Drumming is cool, so I bought his drum set, and I learned how to play. And in 6 months of just putting in headphones, I taught myself how to play. And some guys who were like in their late 20s, early 30s heard that I could play. And they, I remember they knocked on the door like, hey, you want to jam? Who are you? You know, like leather jackets and stuff and like tattoos. And I was like, sure, you know, sounds good. So, um,
When was that?
oh man, I was still 15 years old.
So what year?
Don't do that to me. I was 15
Ish.
ish, pre 2000. So
I'd been in the Navy for almost a decade.
yeah, shut up. So these guys were like, hey, you want to jam? I'm like, all right, sounds cool. So we start jamming. We cut some demos, and we end up we played our first big show in New Jersey, and I know, Vinnie Paul just passed. I found that out going to the extravaganza, but yeah, he was one of my favorite drummers. But so anyway, we go play this show. These guys from Norway are like, "You're very good. Yeah, you want to come with us across country and we play shows together and blah blah." And everybody in the band was like, "Yeah, we'll go." And I'm like, "Okay, we'll go." And I called my mom and I was like, "Hey, Ma, I'll be home in like 2 months." Click, and hung the phone up. And so, thus started my short but illustrious career as a semi-professional metal drummer. But at the time, it really got me into some really bad stuff.
What did that idiot we've talked about before?
Which idiot?
The idiot here in my area.
Oh yeah.
It said, what are some of the top metal bands?
Metallica, Megadeth, Slayer, Vinnie Paul.
He was like,
Pantera.
oh, let me introduce you to T. This is before we met. Let me introduce you to TJ. He's the drummer. He was a drummer for Slayer.
He told you I was a drummer
Yes.
for Slayer?
Yes.
Not so much, but that's interesting.
Yeah.
So
that goes back to that sociopath thing, right?
Yeah.
And the whole making up experiences.
So I became a metal drummer, and I did that for a while, and I had a blast at it. And I got really deep into two things that I shouldn't have been in. One was drugs and alcohol, and the other was the black arts, as to say. And I studied everything. I studied Christianity. I studied Judaism. I studied the occult. I studied Jewish mysticism. I studied Buddhism. I studied Hinduism. I studied all of it.
It's okay, buddy. Back it.
You're gonna blow your spine out, kid, or your
Continue.
pouch.
Hey,
He's gonna bust his man purse, dude.
Back. It's okay.
So, anyway, I studied all this stuff, right? I was just thirsting for knowledge, and thirsting for knowledge in the vein of believing that the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob was just make-believe. And I invited a lot of really bad things into my life. And by bad things, I mean things on the other side of the curtain, on the other side of the veil, metaphysical stuff. I've said before, and I'll say it again, angels and demons are real. And I can tell you for a fact at least what a few of them look like. So, I was laying in bed one night, or uranium, one or the other. I was laying in bed one night, and I just had to get up out of bed because I just knew something was up, right? And you know that feeling when you know somebody's looking at you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You ever have that feeling laying in bed?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I'm laying in bed and I get this feeling like somebody's looking at me. And I look over and there's a closet door to my left. And for whatever reason, when they built this house, they put a window in the closet. Stupid. Outside the window
I shouldn't have said it.
was
We have a window in one of our closets here.
Well, outside the window was a light, so light would filter through the bottom of the door. And I'm looking at the bottom of the door, and I see this smoke just swirling around. And my heartbeat just starts, right? And up over the side of the bed, I see this thing just come up over the side of the bed, come at me. I hopped out of bed. I went and looked in the mirror, and I looked like I seen a ghost, and freaked me out. So I went upstairs. There was an L-shaped couch upstairs. My buddy Crow was laying on one L, and I laid down on the other L. He's passed now, but I laid down on that L, and I woke up, and there was a hand around my neck, and the pillow, the cushion, I could see it passing across my field of vision like this as I was being pushed down into it. Mind you, I was an apostate. I'd been raised in the church, and I'd been raised in the church, but I had no reason to really believe what came out of my mouth next. But I rolled over, and there was that thing. It was on top of me, and it was doing this, just choking the life out of me. And in my mind, because I couldn't talk, I screamed, "I banish you in the name of Jesus Christ." Gone. Gone. Long story short, next morning, I didn't go back to sleep. I was convinced I had to go get a Catholic priest, because in all the horror movies, when you have demons, you go get a Catholic priest, and then they get rid of the demons, right? Shalom, Francis. We love you. You're awesome. So I was convinced I had to get a Catholic priest. Well, it snowed 1.5 feet overnight, and we're in the middle of the woods in upstate New York, so we weren't going anywhere. So I was freaked out. So my girlfriend's like, "What's that on the side of your neck?" I had a handprint twice the size of my hand, bruised into the side of my neck, and one on my thigh. And that's when I started realizing, okay, these things on the other side of the spectrum, they are real. And then the things on the other side of the spectrum, they're real. Then that got me wondering, well, what else is real? I'm gonna bring this back around and put a bow on this. I'm getting distracted both by the comments and what's going on next door, but the motocross exhibition.
Don't get distracted. This is important.
Yeah, I'm trying.
I know.
So, fast forward 2008 or 2010, something like that. I'm here in Texas, and I've been an apostate all these years, and you know, God can use all people. I was big into talk radio at the time, and so I was listening to Glenn Beck talk about how they're going to have this event coming up in Dallas, Restoring Love, and how there was going to be a day of service. And so the day of service comes around. Sorry guys, I'm going to hide your chat messages for a minute because it's distracting me. It's making me lose my train of thought. So day of service comes around, and it was Friday, and I really wanted to be there, and we had work, just couldn't do it. We had a hard deadline on a project we were doing, and we got a phone call from the people that we were doing the job for that something happened and they had to push the finish date by 3 weeks. So now all of a sudden I had some time.
Oh boy.
So I told Harmony, I said, I'm going to Dallas, and
Butthole cat.
I will be, I'm going to go do this thing at Cowboy Stadium. So I go down there, and the place is just overflowing with people. And it's just overflowing with people, and I'm overwhelmed that this many people turn out to be of use to somebody. So I get in line, and there's a guy in line, and sign up to volunteer, and they said, hey, we can't take any more volunteers, all the buses are full. So I brought my own truck full of tools, and I'm ready to go, man. And they said, well, we've got like 600 some different sites that we're working at today, so we'll just print me a list. And this guy I'm standing in line with, I said, hey man, let's just team up. They said, okay. Well, come to find out, he'd flown out from California to Dallas to be there for the event. We became fast friends. Fast friends. We're still friends today. So we hop in my truck, and we're like, let's just pick an address. So we pick an address and we go, and it's this awesome Christ-based ministry down in Dallas that I've mentioned before, and Care Center Ministries, Lonnie Sawyer. And I get there, and I got a crew of like 12, maybe 12, 14 people that don't know anything about construction, and we tore down walls, we were rewiring rooms, we were, busting out stucco and the whole nine, and it was just wonderful. You could feel it, right? And I go and I sit, we're having lunch, and I'm talking with this guy, Lonnie, and he's like, hey man, can I ask you something? Sure. He says, do you believe in God? And I said, I guess existentially I'm on the fence, but if you mean as far as like a living, loving God that has my best interest at heart, my answer is no. And he said, well, don't you feel it? I said, feel what? And he goes, don't you feel this? What's happening here? And I said, yeah, I feel it. And he said, well, how does that feel? I said, honestly, it feels great. He said, that's God. And I said, no, it's not. It's people. That's all y'all. And he said, no, that's the love of God that you're feeling. And so we had a conversation, and that conversation planted the seeds, which then got watered the next day at Cowboy Stadium by none other than Glenn Beck. They opened that program. They wanted to have Billy Graham do the prayer, but he was ill, couldn't make it. So they had this really cool montage of about 4 or 5 minutes long of people who had just showed up to the event, praying over the event. And they cut it all together, and you could feel it in that room. You could feel it. And so that really started the seeds. And, and I'm going to go here for 30 seconds. He catches a lot of flack. Glenn Beck catches a lot of flack. I can't say that I know him personally, but we've shaken hands 3-4 times, and we've had the opportunity to exchange some words face-to-face, one-on-one, and he's at least a man of honesty and integrity. I'll give him that.
I mean, we were dropping off product,
Yeah.
right? So basically common workers.
Yeah, we were just unloading a trailer.
And he came walking out and walked up to us, not us to him.
Yeah. Out of his meeting. Because
out of his meeting.
they have glass walls in all the offices there.
To shake our hands and say, oh, what is this going to be?
Yeah. What are you guys bringing us today?
Yeah.
Because we do some work for them. And
I mean, that's pretty humble. I mean, that goes back to, like, I talk about, you should treat everybody fairly and equally. Like, even if it's the janitor, like, there's no one beneath you.
Yeah.
And, even like going out to eat and getting bad service, like you don't know what that person's gone through that day. They may have lost a parent or a relative or something, and it just wasn't them, So, giving that holy Buzz Lightyear just ran out the door. Giving that grace, right?
Yeah.
Giving that grace to people. And
Meeting people where they're at.
Yeah, and
literally.
And realizing that, there may be something going on. with that person. That,
Yep.
you know, you just need to extend that amount of grace to them.
Kids are running away. So, fast forward, I end up at this church that Squid eventually ends up at, and played drums there. Went from death metal, black metal, satanic metal
Slayer.
band drumming, Slayer.
Slayer,
I
I guess.
went from being the lead drummer in Slayer. No, not really. He said he was the lead drummer in Slayer. No. But I went from doing all that and went to playing worship music every Sunday morning. Are
Dude,
they
you missed a part.
are they done?
Maybe.
Okay, because I literally just prayed for them to be done. I'm not kidding. You can rewind this video and look at me with my eyes closed. So that'd be amazing.
So you missed a part.
What part did I miss?
How you got to church.
So
You got approached.
yeah,
And you went.
yeah, that's true.
And you came back and told Harmony we
That-
have to go.
So Harlan had a birthday party. Harlan had a birthday party, and a little girl in his class at school.
He's got the 6.5 Creedmoor, so we have to give some grace.
I'm behind a brick column, ish.
No, I meant because so we can
Oh,
use it.
right.
No,
Well, he needs to shoot his motorcycle with it. So Harlan has this birthday party, and this little girl is there at his birthday party, and her mom, who just ended up being great people, she said, we got done, we're hanging out at the party the whole time, and she says, hey, in a few weeks, my husband's the associate pastor at our church that we go to, this little church. I would love it if you'd come be our guest, and if you can, that'd be great. If you can't make it, that's okay. We still love you guys. You're awesome. Which, by the way, is the way to invite somebody to a church, is the no pressure approach, and especially the if you could be
I'm
my
not
guest.
shaking my head to him.
Yeah.
I'm shaking my head to a child.
Yeah. If you say if I would love it if you would be my guest this week, and it would be an honor if you'd come to church with me, because that creates like a no pressure and like an honor system reciprocation. But I was like, okay, cool. And then she says, yeah, and so anyway, we're moving. I was like, what do you mean you're moving? We just met you guys, and you guys are awesome. Well, they were moving from like one house over here to 3 blocks down the street. So I said, well, I'll tell you what, I got trucks and equipment and trailers and people, and I'll bring some of that, and I'll help you all move. So fast forward a week, we go help them move, and there's all these people there to help them move, and they're all awesome. And I kept asking, how do you know so-and-so? Oh, we know him from church. Well, how do you know so-and-so? Oh, we know him from church. We know him from church. We know him from church. And it was every one of these people I knew him from church, and they were all real people. So I went to that church a couple weeks after that. And all these people that I'd met 2 weeks before, helping them move stuff, were like, hey, T, it's good to see you, man. We missed you. We're so glad you're here. And I'm like, these people remember my name? They're actually legitimately like happy to see me, right? And then so we hear the message, and I'm sitting in the front row, as close to center as you can get, because the seats were divided in the center. So I'm just off of dead center, front row, and the message just convicted me, and it was about the power of redemption. And I'm literally shaking the whole time. Like, my fight or flight kicked in, and my fight part is about this big, and my flight part's about that big. So I'm like sitting in the front row, just like, I can either run out of here or break something, neither of which would be appropriate. Right? It's gonna make all the nice people pretty scared and angry if I do that. So I'm literally shaking, right? Like having like muscle convulsions, just trying to like hold it together. Let's get to the end of this message. They're gonna sing a song, and then I can leave. And then they sang a song, and I could leave, and I was like, all right, cool, I'm out. And people start cornering me. It's so good to see you. Will you come back? Will you come back? Will you come back? And before I know it, yes, I'll come back. Yes, I'll come back. And Harmony was out of town. And I went home and I thought about it and I thought about it. And she got home and I said, babe, look, I'm going to tell you something crazy. I said, but next Sunday, I need you to come to church with me. And she looked at me like, and who are you? You know, my big tattooed, bearded, shaved head, metalhead drummer, you know, you're going, you know, you go to church now? I said, look, you come one time with me, and if you don't like it, I'll never ask you to come again. But I need you to come with me one time. So we went the next weekend. We got in the car, and I said, what do you think? She said, I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. But I know we're supposed to be there. And it was that maturity that kept us going, was the fact that we didn't like it. It wasn't comfortable. It wasn't easy. It wasn't fun. But
If it was easy, everybody'd do it.
yeah. Well, and yeah, that's exactly right. And so we went and we went and we went, and about a year after that, I got cornered. I got voluntold that I was going to be playing drums in the worship band. So we've been praying over a drummer for 2 years. So well, you better keep praying. And I said, well, you don't understand. We really need a drummer. And I said, you don't understand. I was a metal drummer. And well, if you would just prayerfully consider it. Well, prayerful consideration from a pastor is a direct order, right? That's like a drill sergeant say, prayerfully consider, get down there on the ground and push the earth until I tell you to stop. So anyway, and you two hear those links. They're just wild, crazy music. I was like, that'll fix. And there's no way they're going to let that guy into their church. Well, he forwarded that to the worship leader. And about a half an hour later, I get an email back from the worship leader. It's like, heck yeah, I get this guy. That guy can play. So I thought that I had dissuaded them, but I had not. So anyway, I got that church imploded. Fast forward, that church imploded, and well, that's too far forward. I got baptized. I'd given my life to Christ when I was 13 at this Baptist church that we attended when I was a kid. And that's probably the only reason I'm still here today, because during that dark period of apostasy, there were things that were trying to knock me off the chessboard, and God wouldn't let them. And in retrospect, in hindsight, I'm able to see that. But that church imploded.
Shook your faith, man.
Yeah, that church imploded due to the good-intentioned egos of men. And
That shook you hard, I remember.
yeah, well, the church started going a direction that I wasn't agreeing with, and
Yep.
it was going a direction you weren't agreeing with. You were there, and I took myself out of the equation, and I'm not even gonna pick that scab on that wound.
Nah.
It's not worth it, and I don't want to badmouth anybody. So that happened.
Because we're all make mistakes and do dumb
Yeah.
stuff, and
Yeah, we're
get
all humans.
misguided
We're
and
all
get,
humans.
You know, you name it.
But the cool thing about that was, because that happened, it really made me think to myself, like, I'm over knowing what my pastor says about the Bible. I want to know what the Bible actually says. So it wasn't until that happened that I had read the Bible 4 times through before that as a younger man. I'm a voracious reader. I love reading. But I never really grasped it or retained much of it. It was almost an academic exercise to just say that I had done it, right? And so after that church imploded, it just got me. After the initial pain and hurt and angst and betrayal and all that junk that comes with that, bycat. After all that, it got me into the Bible, into the Word.
Shut the door.
Just to see what the deal was, and just to try and figure out, like, what does the word actually say? And that's what got me to Torah, was what does the word actually say? And now I just try and read the word every day, and I just trying to listen to that still small voice, the Ruach, the Holy Spirit. I've had people ask me if I'm a Hebrew. Not genetically. I'm just a big old, just a big old bear trying to do the best that I know how. Do the Father's will to the best of my ability, and it's not always easy. It's not supposed to be easy. I think that's the point of it. It's not designed to be easily done, and I do think it's a calling. So that in a nutshell is how I got here. I don't think that was probably helpful to anybody, and I know hi Carolyn, hi y'all. I just turned the comments back on. I could see y'all again. I know I've been getting distracted, and I apologize for being distracted.
I mean, we've got a ghost, Buzz Lightyear,
Yeah,
motorcycles,
a dog, a cat.
a dog, a cat escaping.
Thank you, Carolyn.
It's hard to cock that gun. It's already cocked, buddy. It's ready to go.
You got a license for that weapon?
You're ready to go. Locked and loaded.
So yeah, I left Oklahoma at 3 a.m. this morning, and we got what, 6 hours of sleep in the last 3 days?
Maybe.
Maybe. So yeah, it's.
No, you gotta go to the front and then back.
Oh, okay. Let me do it.
Back. Yep, it's loaded.
Holy cow!
Jam. Send it.
Nice.
That's correct, Gordy. And I've been sitting here thinking this the whole time. It's like, of all the things to try and knock me off my game, right? But the point of all this is, like you're saying, if you just trust me, right?
That's the hardest thing.
It is.
You want to get involved and you want to muddle it up. Don't muddle it up. Like, just have faith. Have faith in the situation you're in. That situation you're in is there because you're meant to learn something, or something's meant to happen, or you're meant to meet somebody, or you're meant to do something that you didn't know you needed to do.
Well, check this out, right? There's no coincidences, right?
None.
So you text me and you're like, this squid is bad. We need some prayers, right? So I pray. And I earnestly, me and Harmony were like, boom, knees on the ground, let's hit this thing. And I don't say that to glorify us. I said it to glorify the Father, right? And the next morning, I'm sitting by my creek on my log, doing my weekly Bible study for the people out there. What am I reading but James 5?
Yeah.
And I texted you. I was like, you need to read James 5 just as soon as you can. And I told him at the beginning of the video, I said, hey, I'm not going to give you any details, but I got 2 friends that are in the hospital that really need your prayers. So just pray for my friends. Pray for healing. Pray prayer of thanks for healing, right? And what does it say in James 5? That Elijah was a prophet of God, and he was a firm believer in God, and he prayed earnestly upon the land. And there was no rain upon the land for 3 years and 6 months. Right? And so,
Just once. Once.
So.
You just cock it once. You just cock it once, Dad.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm having a hard time.
Concentrating.
I'm having a hard time tying all these threads together into a coherent.
I think they
thought.
tie themselves together.
Yeah, I think so too, brother. But you know how I am.
I know.
I just hope that
But,
somebody
you know-
can take something away from this, because the point of the matter is that God thought enough of this to constantly and consistently make a way.
I'll tie it together for you.
Shoot.
Even with all these distractions
Yeah.
and everything going around us, kids, cats escaping, motorcycles next door, everything else, right? Distractions. That's the things we can get tied up in as distractions, right?
Yeah.
And it makes us get further from God, from the Father. When if we just choose simplicity and we have faith and we understand that He is there, that everything will be okay.
Amen.
Amen.
What are you, good at this or something?
No,
What are you, a
Not.
celebrity on the internet?
I'm a STEM.
STEM degree. At the shop, they're like, we need to order some STEM casters. I said, every one of them better come with paperwork. So the point here is, we love you guys. I'm glad you all are here. And above and beyond whatever worldly love that I could express to you through this device, the Father loves you infinitely more than that. And if He can make a way for a heathen bear who was in a satanic metal band, and
Even Squid.
this heathen squid, and you know, all the things that I've done in my life that have been disobedient to Him and have violated His commandments, and He still loved me enough and loves me enough to make a way for me, He can make a way for you. And
There ain't a day that can go by that I sit there and go, I don't deserve anything.
yep,
I'm a POS.
yep,
Like, I deserve no grace. My thoughts, my actions, my whatever, like, I deserve nothing.
yep,
And I'm okay with that. Like, but He has His grace.
yeah,
And, you know, even if you look at all the main figures in the Bible, I mean, look who He used.
yeah.
Murderers. Like,
Yeah.
like the broken. Like,
Adulterers,
Yeah.
yep, speech impediments, you know, just everything.
I mean, you know, look at what Moses, right?
Yeah,
He had no idea how he's going to talk to the crowds.
yeah. He said, "Oh, you just open your mouth. I'll do the talking
I'll
for
just
you."
talking for you.
Yep,
But
yep.
all right, you need to. I don't have to. Well, I say I don't have to get up in the morning. But
Yeah, you do.
they're up at 6-ish.
Yeah,
So,
ish.
and supposedly I'm letting them sleep in a tent in their room tonight.
I saw that.
You got a ghost over your shoulder. Speaking of your talking earlier.
You better turn that around so people can see the eyes, or people are gonna get the wrong impression. There we go. Okay. Jeez, kid. It's a ghost costume. It's a ghost
It is a
costume.
ghost
It's
costume.
a ghost costume.
Ghost.
I'm gonna put a bow on it this way. I know that there's hundreds of you, thousands of you out there that watch this channel and appreciate this channel and appreciate what we do. And there's lots of preparedness channels that are gonna blow smoke at you and do the super tactical thing. And the thing that I want y'all to understand about this channel is that quintessential to what we do and what we believe here is a foundation in faith relative to being prepared. It informs the way that you prepare. It informs the way that I prepare. And if all of this to you is new, or something we've said has struck a chord with you, I would encourage you to find somebody to teach you, to talk to you about it, ask questions, get answers, because you need that. I needed that, and I surrounded myself with people who were the exact opposite of the people that I needed. And then if you just ask God to give you strength and wisdom, He will. And if you have not accepted Yeshua Jesus as your Lord and Savior, you need to do that.
Well, you don't even have to ask Him to bring those people.
He will.
thank him
Yeah.
for bringing those people.
But you need to. All this temporal world stuff is great, but if you don't know where you're going after this, you've got to get right with the Father first, the creator of all of this stuff.
It's the longest yet, isn't
Who
it?
cares?
I know.
The creator
I was just
of all
curious.
this did all of this so that he could love on you. And he gives you a book and tells you how to do it. And you just basically say, look, Father, I'm a broken sinner. I need redemption. I've sinned, and I just ask you to cover my sins in the blood of Yeshua Jesus. And
It's a great thing you just said, right?
yeah,
What do most people say? Well, I'm just an old sinner.
yeah,
Actually, that's wrong. You were
yep,
an old sinner.
yep,
That's no longer you.
yep,
Like, we use the excuse of, oh, I'm just a broken sinner. I'm an old sinner.
yep.
No,
Stop.
no. You were no.
Get better.
Yep.
Yeah. You know, and this will be the bow. I had the opportunity to meet some incredible people this past weekend, and somebody made the comment to me. It was Miss Donna, I believe, said to me, "We love watching your channel because I've been able to see how much you've grown." And that's the idea, y'all. We are being
Buzz Lightyear versus Ghost.
Buzz Lightyear versus Ghost, and the circus has come to town next door as well. But the idea is to be better tomorrow.
Please.
Please.